7 things Battlefield 2018 has to have. This video follows on from my first on the upcoming title, where we discussed what settings were likely to be taken on by the developers, and today I'd like to suggest some important features I think the game would benefit from. Now, of course, these aren't all the be-all and end-all suggestions and points, and they vary in their size and impact, and I've done that for a reason. And I'm sure you've got your own suggestions, so after you've heard mine today, leave some comments down below and let me know what you'd like to see in Battlefield 2018. Okay then, let's get things started. The first thing that Battlefield 2018 has to have is a functioning, fully stocked rental service system. Battlefield 1 sought to revolutionise the way that the franchise dealt with custom experiences within the core Battlefield experience, and it's safe to say it almost fell flat on its face. The game didn't even launch with server rental support, and when the feature arrived, in beta no less, we were told to expect great things down the line. We're now 12 months past the launch of the game, and we still don't have feature parity with the system that's still active in Battlefield 4, with the updates to the rental service system becoming smaller and smaller every time Battlefield 1 gets updated. Battlefield 2018, well, that simply has to launch with feature parity with Battlefield 4, not Battlefield 1, because it's still not in a good enough position in my opinion. Live scoreboards is something I'd like to see return. A proper admin control panel, accessible in-game and outside of the game in the menus as well, and VIP lists from the start. Battlefield 1's longevity, I believe, has suffered directly because of its lack of customizability when it comes to game experience. Many communities have not bothered to rent and manage servers within Battlefield 1 because the people who run them don't have the level of control that they need to keep their community in check. That full experience has to be delivered on day one. Then I feel more communities will find a home in Battlefield 2018 and stick with the game for a longer time. Moving on to point number 2 now, I'd like to see an active move to reduce the impact of explosives on gameplay in Battlefield 2018. First and foremost, Battlefield is a shooter franchise, but in recent years the games have developed a fetish for vast amounts of explosions. Now that's okay, as long as they're balanced properly. In Battlefield 4 and Battlefield 1, we had huge issues with grenade and explosive spam for months on end after their respective launches, and it took the developers some time to come around to changing the way they affected gameplay. Let's not have that situation in Battlefield 2018. Let's have a launch free of the issues that have plagued the last 2 mainline titles. Take the improvements either of Battlefield 1 or Battlefield 4 and have that as your starting point for 2018, because those scenarios are far better than what we had at their launches. The introduction of a camera shake slider was a good move by DICE, giving people the option to lower the insane amount of it in Battlefield 1, but dying to barrages of grenades is still not fun. Point number 3 now for Battlefield 2018, I'd like to see a reduction in the number of game modes offered. Now really, this is a 2-part point, but I'll start purely with player numbers first of all. A reduction in the number of game modes available, simply put, keeps more of the player base together. The more modes you have, the more you split players into sections, and potentially you diverse the player base too much. Some game modes, like Frontlines in Battlefield 1, directly relies on players focusing on the objective in order to win. TDM has none of this objective focus apart from killing other people. If Battlefield 2018 focused the experience down into a smaller number of game modes, with none being added as part of the DLC system, you'd also find all of the game modes remained populated, rather than dying off 2 weeks after a DLC release because the player base is split. The exception to that rule, however, is of course Frontlines, which should have been in the base game of Battlefield 1 at launch, because it's awesome, but DICE have kind of fixed that problem by adding it to a load of base game maps. Point number 4 now, I'd like to bring back only in Battlefield moments, and I'm not talking about behemoths and elite classes, I'm talking about proper only in Battlefield moments. I'm not sure about you, but Battlefield 1 lacks that huge wow factor that Battlefield 4 and Battlefield 3 did when it comes to those totally unforgettable, unscripted, insane moments. I feel like DICE tried to manufacture those by implementing behemoths and elite classes, but ultimately trying to manufacture an epic moment that is likely to never be repeated only results in the same, increasingly underwhelming moments. For example, allow us again to stick explosives to vehicles and do some crazy crap, I don't know. That got patched out of Battlefield 1 for some random reason, and I'd love to see that return in Battlefield 2018. Remove the cheesy, overpowered elite classes, which now are becoming more and more stale. Remove the behemoths, which do nothing but hide the flaws in the new conquest system, and just return the game to a state where the epic moments are created directly by the players playing the game, and using tools that are intended for something else to do something awesome. Don't give people tools that you think are awesome because you know it's going to create something cool for the first 10 minutes. Give us just what we need or what we're allowed to have, and we'll be creative with that kind of stuff. We had more awesome moments, I'd argue, in previous Battlefield games without those tools to script them than we do now with the tools to script them, so maybe a return to what you did before might be a step forwards in the right direction. Point number 5 here, something quite small, and it's a point that's shared by Danny on PC, and he mentioned it in his recent video about some things from Battlefield Hardline that could make it into Battlefield 1. I'd like to see the ability to take ammo or health from a friendly medic or support player. Rather than them giving it to you, you can take it from them. Now, as I said, this is a feature of Battlefield Hardline, and it's one of the many smaller improvements that that game actually made. And it allowed you to not have to suffer waiting for some guy not paying attention to manually drop ammo or health. Now, of course, this is counterproductive to team play, but as it's not your fault that the guy on the other side of the world isn't paying attention, I think this should be something that is reintroduced to the Battlefield franchise. To balance this and make sure people don't abuse it, no points would be awarded to the player who's letting someone take ammo or health, and the ammo and health that you take is much smaller in comparison than if somebody were to actively give you the ammo or the health. Say running up to a medic and taking a health pack from them only replenished 50% of your health, and if you ran up to a support player and took ammo from them, you'd only get 2 magazines of ammunition for your weapon. That could be a good balance in allowing an anti-team play mechanic into the game by not rewarding either party massively for using it. And while we're on the subject, another point shared by Danny on PC, I'd also like to see the medic crates and ammo caches spawn on conquest flags when they're owned by your team, so you could replenish on a flag whilst protecting it from the enemy. Point number 6, a greater focus on the game meta and adapting the game to suit the community's actions. Now that sounds complicated, but what really I'm asking for is a quicker reaction overall to issues in the game, and making sure players always have things to focus on, items to unlock, and challenges to complete. The recent Battlefest for Battlefield 1 showed me how large the gap is in that game right now when daily missions are not being run. A poll actually went up on the official Battlefield Twitter account asking players what they liked most about the event. And surprisingly, the free trial of the Tsar DLC wasn't the winner. The winner was the in-game challenges that were set up, and it won by quite a distance. The fact that players had something to work towards every single day of the 2 weeks of that event meant there was incentive to come back and play the game, because you'd get something to show off your dedication. People love to show off all their cool in-game items, which is why, despite the hate for battle packs, most players will always apply that legendary weapon skin the moment they unbox one. DICE, for Battlefield 2018, I think you need to have a proper live service that keeps players interested with challenges that bring in all the aspects of the game. If you do that, I think you'll see the average player count stay higher for longer. And lastly for today, point number 7, this is not really a feature, it's kind of an anti-feature. I'd like to see the removal of Premium Season Pass for Battlefield 2018. Now, looking at DICE's other AAA shooter, Battlefront 2, it would be no surprise to me if Battlefield 2018 didn't feature a season pass and instead chose another route to fund its post-launch content support. If that were, say, through battle packs being filled with player customization items, weapon skins, different kill card designs, and other non-game-changing items, I would be totally fine with that. Removing premium means keeping the player base together, and if you keep premium, you're going to split the player base. Keeping all that post-launch content free, like maps, weapons, gadgets, etc., keeps the community together, and so when that new content is introduced, the entire player base, literally anyone who bought the game, has access to it and can play with it all at the same time. Considering how hard Premium was pushed for Battlefield 1, I'm confident that sales of Premium for Battlefield 1 were much lower than past titles. And what's the point of making content for a tiny minority of the player base when you could make it free in the next game and make sure everybody who bought the base game has the opportunity to play your brand new content? So those are 7 things I think Battlefield 2018 has to have, or in the case of Premium, not have. And now I hand it off to you guys down in the comments section. Tell me the things you want Battlefield 2018 to include or not include, and I'll follow up this video in a couple of weeks' time with some of your top suggestions. I hope you enjoyed today's video, however, so if you did, leave me a like, and I'll know to produce more of this Battlefield 2018 series, as it seems to be really popular already. But until next time, my name is Westie, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.